Hello, everybody. This is Ananda, and this evening we're going to talk about the Enneagram Type 2s, the helper. On a positive note, the helpers are always the last to leave the dinner parties. They will always stay to help clean up. They are fun, they are helpful, they are enthusiastic and fun-loving people. And they are usually the first to volunteer, and they make an enormous effort to help other people. What the twos are unconscious of is that they have a lingering pride in the shadow of their heart. Their giving is often a form of manipulation. Twos feel, I want you to be happy, and I want to be the reason why you're happy. So a lot of the times what the twos do is that they project their needs on other people, and they can be very smothering. They always want to help. The fear that a two has is that they will be rejected if they have needs of their own. So many times you can ask a two, what do you want or what do you need? And they won't know what they need. They're so busy doing what everybody else needs. And depending on the subtype, it plays out in different ways. Twos also like to be seen with the right people. They are incredibly intuitive to the point that they can even be slightly psychic when it comes to knowing what other people need. But again, the pride is their deadly sin. And the twos have to learn to give and to receive, because often this pride can lead to a tremendous amount of resentment. They get so busy giving and giving and giving, and they never say what they really need. So a lot of the time they can get absolutely furious when their own needs aren't met, because what the two expects is for other people to intuit what they need and give them what they need when they're not actually asking for what they need. They don't like to be alone. Twos like to be with people. So being alone for them is a little scary too. Twos should really learn to spend some time alone and getting to know themselves. That way they can get to know what it is that they really need. They project often a false image, because what a two really wants is to gain other people's approval. They're continuously helping because they genuinely feel that if they don't help other people, they won't be liked. In other words, by helping other people, these other people will I'll become indispensable, and these people will need me all the time, and then they will love me. So often a two doesn't necessarily feel loved just because they are who they are. They feel loved because of all that they feel that they're giving and all this people pleasing that they do. Because the reason they're really doing all the people pleasing is in order to feel that they loved and that they appreciated. Appreciation is enormous for a two. They are adverse to criticism, perhaps more so than any other type on the entire Enneagram spectrum. And the twos are very manipulative in many ways. Often they are investing rather than helping. They like people to feel indebted to them for the amount of help they give people. The more conscious they are and the healthier they are, the more they're able to actually say no. And they realize that it's not always their place to help. You do not have to help anybody. You can help from a place of, I genuinely want to help this person and I don't expect anything in return. As long as there's an expectation behind the giving, then it is a manipulation. And this people pleasing plays out with the three different subtypes in different ways. With the self-preservation too, the word for the self-preservation too is privilege. Privilege. These twos are extremely youthful and extremely cute. They use their cuteness to get what they want. In a way, it's almost like the child that hasn't grown up, and that feels that they desperately want to be the center of attention, but they don't have to really do anything to be the center of attention. They just feel that they deserve it because they're so cute. These twos are the counter type, so they don't necessarily look like other twos because they are more guarded, but they still are twos. They don't feel, it's the kind of person who feels that I need to be the center of attention, but I don't really need to do anything specific to be the center of attention. I'm just so cute and just so helpful, so I should be. They need to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. And often these twos can be very insecure about doing so and very dependent. The social two, and the word for the social two here is ambition. This is the most intellectual of all the twos. They like to be in the know. These twos are the most manipulative when it comes to strategic giving. They can climb to the top of their corporations. They like to be the boss and in the know, and they will surround themselves with other powerful people, and they are very strategic. They will make sure that their giving and their compliments and their people pleasing is used to their advantage. They are very manipulative in that way, the ambitious social twos, and they're very hardworking too. Wonderful people, but again, it's more for them about investing than it is really purely about giving with an open heart. These twos, as with all twos, have a fluctuating self-worth, which is very much dependent on the approval and the appreciation they're getting from other people. If they don't feel that they're getting the approval or the appreciation, they don't feel they have any self-worth, which is why there is this ongoing smothering people pleasing all the time. The sexual two, and the word for the sexual two is aggressive seductive. I don't know if any of you have ever watched the movie called Fatal Attraction with Michael Douglas, but in that movie, Michael Douglas has an affair with a very unhealthy sexual two. These twos use sexuality as a way to seduce somebody to take care of them. Incredibly smothering. They know that by being very wild, they wild people. They love to have fun. They will give all this emotional support to somebody that they feel will and get their needs met this way. They will be the most people-pleasing people in order to get somebody to give them a blank check. They are the most two-ish of all the twos. You cannot really miss them. Very talkative, very aggressively seductive. They know what they want and they know how to get what they want. And they are just very forward in that way and people-pleasing in that way. Whereas the social two is a little bit more reserved. These people do have more of a tendency, if you're a social two, they can be very great in groups and talkative in groups, and they can even seem vulnerable and cry in front of a group, but they need their privacy and they need to be alone. A lot of it, again, is a manipulation. That's what the people pleasers have to see, because they're so wonderful. I mean, I genuinely really, really like people pleasers. I like the pleasers because they really are very helpful people, and they really will be there if you need them. But the sense and that they are, I guess the trait they really have to work on is genuine, authentic giving versus giving to get. And that, I would say, is the biggest issue with all the twos. Remember that humility is the virtue that the twos have to cultivate. Pride is the deadly sin. And you wouldn't think so. It almost seems strange, because when someone's people pleasing and giving and giving and giving so much, you wouldn't think that they were prideful, but they are. It's because they're giving so much that they're so prideful, and they can get so resentful. And they feel that because they're such amazing people who are always giving, they then deserve this love back in return. even if they don't ask for it. And they won't ask for it. They are too proud to ask for what they really need, for the fear that they'll be rejected if they do. And so they need to work on being humble. In other words, when you're giving and there is no strategy attached to your giving, then you cultivate humility. And that's the big one that a 2 has to cultivate. Often the smothering can lead them to be rejected, because a 2 has to genuinely realize that they are projecting a lot of the time their own needs on other people. And when other people feel smothered, they often want to, get away from the 2. They feel it's too much. So a 2 needs to ask. If they think somebody needs something, rather ask to check before you just jump ahead and assume. And the other thing is, don't be afraid of saying no, so that you don't overwork yourself and feel resentful and get very angry when you just feel you're doing so much. Often that's when you can really see the motivation behind the 2, when they get really angry. No one appreciates me. It's this constant giving, constant people pleasing. Anyway, the 2s are great. Again, all the types are wonderful. And I always say I get a kick out of all the types. And I hope this was sufficient in discussing the Enneagram Type 2s, the people pleasers, because I feel that most importantly for these 2s, to genuinely consider and be alone. Learn to love your own company. Learn to ask for what you need. And try develop a capacity to accept criticism. Think of it as feedback. That's how a 2 really learns to grow. So I hope you guys all have the most wonderful weekend. And I'll talk to you soon with the last Enneagram type, the Enneagram Type 1. And so this is the end of the feeling triad, the 4s, the 3s, and the 2s. Remembering that the 4s, the 3s, and the 2s are the most image conscious of all the types on the whole Enneagram.